So what started this recording a little late, just saying that. So we plot the points, and it should look something like that. Okay, it may not be exactly like, because I'm estimating, so are you. All right, so that's a scatter plot, what we just did. We just drew a scatter plot. Makes sense. Scatter, right? Plot is like a graph. Okay, and it roughly looks like a line with a positive slope. Okay, so what we're going to do now is draw something called a trend line. Now, before you do it, listen to my instructions. You're not trying to connect the points. That would be impossible. It certainly would not make a line. You're not even required to hit any of the points. You might hit the points, but that's not required. What you're looking for is to try to draw a line somewhere through the middle, where you have roughly half of the points above your line, half the points below your line, okay? And so everybody's line is going to be a little different, just like some of our points might be slightly off. It's decimals, right? It's not perfect. And if you want to use the edge of your calculator, it's an easy enough straight edge to use. Figure out where you want to put it. It does not have to go through the origin. Don't worry about that, okay? You really just want to try, and I'm just looking, I know you can't really see it, but I'm looking to see that I have like some of the points below, and then I'm just going to draw a line above it, okay? And every period I do this, my line looks different, and the information I'm going to get is going to be different, but you're going to find out here in a second. That's a trend line. I drew a line kind of following the trend of the points, okay? Notice I didn't hit any of the points. That's okay, all right? So we did a scatter plot and a trend line, okay? What we're going to do next is write an equation of the line. Equation of the line would be in slope-intercept form, okay? So we need a slope and we need a y-intercept. So to find the slope, we're going to pick 2 points on our graph. So everybody has a different graph. I mean, it'd be really strange even if we had the same 2 points. Pick 2 points. And guys, almost make it purposeful not to be at a perfect one. I want you guys to work with the decimals. Like, literally just pick 2 random points, any 2 points, and then name it. Use some decimals. What's the difference between a 0.1 and a 0.2? Who cares? Pick what you like. It's very, very estimated. Like for me, I'd call that like let's call it 3.2. I don't know. And then that's my point. You have your own. Don't use mine because your graph probably does not have the same points. So I'm picking any 2 points, just like with regular normal lines that have an exact slope and everything. Any 2 points you pick, they'll all simplify down to the same slope. So any 2 you pick is fine. And if you need the slope formula, here it be. Okay, so second y minus the first y over second x minus the first x. And you'll use your calculator to compute that. So I want you guys to go ahead and compute your slopes and then kind of compare it to mine. And then I want you guys to kind of share out, some of you, if you don't mind, what yours is. And we'll kind of talk about similarities. And round to whatever you want. We don't care right now. Okay, so somebody tell me, give me some of your slopes. Just share. 1.11. Okay. 1. Did anybody get a negative? Okay, that would be a red flag. It should be positive. Okay, so if you got a negative, for example, that would be a mistake in your math. Okay. If you got anything around 1, maybe even all the way up to 2, we're probably in good shape, okay? What would stand out is if you had like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would mean something was wrong, okay? All of us should be somewhere around the same. So if I were grading this, I would say, these are a terrible thing to grade. I almost said a bad word. These are a B to grade. I'm recording. These are hard to grade, but if I thought your number was way off of mine, I would just go check your work because I wouldn't want to just make a judgment like that, okay? Now, I want to put it in slope-intercept form. I have the M, I need the B. Go back to your Algebra 2, Algebra 1 days. You can use either one of your points, either one, doesn't matter, and you'll plug in the X here and the Y here and the M you just found here, and then you can solve for B. Okay, so you do your math, I'll do mine. Everybody should be doing this. Don't just watch. You're going to have to do this in the homework. You'll have to do it on a test. You need to know how to do this. So I got a y-intercept B of 1.2. You could get a negative there. So don't think you did something wrong if you got a negative B. We don't know where that graph is hitting the y-axis. It could be up, it could be down, okay? But the slope would definitely have to be positive. So what I would look for is, something around what my key would say. Mine's not the only good answer. Yours might be better than mine, right? But everyone would get a different kind of answer here. It's a trend line. It's called a line of best fit, okay? Did anybody get a number here that they want to ask me if it's okay? You feel, what? That could be, yeah, could be. It's getting to the point of not being okay, but it might be fine, okay? But if you want me to check your work later, I would. So it's a hard one to kind of tell you, but final answer, slope-intercept form, okay? Yeah. What did you get? Okay, so she got in 3s too, so it's probably fine, but if you want, when I'm walking around, just grab me and be like, can you check this real quick? And I'll just check your work to make sure. Yeah, I just said round to whatever on this, just for this. On a test or something, I would definitely tell you what to round to. So when we get to the homework, I'll be specific about it. You're just kind of learning right now. Okay, so just heads up, when you get to the homework, there's 2 of these, number 8 and number 9 in the homework, just like this, okay? So we only have 5 homework problems, 2 of them like this, and then 3 like this. So I'm just letting you know. These 2 you'll do by hand. Now I'm going to teach you to do pretty much the same thing, but teach you how to do it in a calculator, okay? And that will be the first 3 homework problems. And I'll do one of these with you, the calculator ones. You probably don't need my help on that. But here's the thing. Listen, guys. And I'm preaching to the choir because this class is always really good about listening. Pick up your calculators, follow along with me, have your pink sheet right near you because you're going to write some notes on it. There's going to be some things I don't want you to, like I found I have easier ways than some of her ways to do things. And if you fall behind, you're just going to get frustrated, you know what I mean? And you don't want to get frustrated. So make sure you have your pink sheet and this problem here, and we're going to go through it together. And try and stay with me. If I'm going too fast, ask me to slow down. I'll try to stay with you guys for each step. And let me tell you, as we go through the steps on the calculator, just looking at that pink sheet is a little intimidating. It really isn't. I'm telling you, by the end of the period, especially you guys, when you get to the homework and stuff, you get really fast with it, okay? So just trust me, okay? Do this one with me. We'll do another one in the homework, and then I'll come around and help with any issues, okay? So let's see the directions. Let's use a graphing utility to draw a scatter plot, then create a line of best fit. So exactly what we did in part A up here. We're going to tell the calculator what points we want it to do, and it's going to even give us a line of best fit. We won't have to do it by hand, okay? And then, example, the second part is write the linear regression. I'll come back to that word, model, for the price of oranges and dollars per box. Oops, I forgot to put a hat on I told you I always forget the y hat. So just know. If that's just saying this is a model. It's not exact. It's going to be different answers. It's approximate. Okay, so here's the question. Here's our data, right? We have more x and y values. We have years and then how much a box of oranges cost each year, okay? So one thing I'm going to tell you before we pick up our calculator, when we enter the data, we're going to be entering our x values and y values in here. We're not going to use the years, okay? Because years are numbers. That's going to, it's like you don't want to subtract, you don't want to use these numbers as x values. What we are going to use is 1 through 7, okay? So and let me tell you this, you can start, you'll see, you can start at 0 and go to 6. You can start at 1 and go to 7. 0 or 1 are both equally good starting points when you have to do something like this. Let's all do the same thing, though, and use 1. And 1 is typically what most students do anyway. So that's what we're going to type in. So here we go. On your pink sheet at the top, mine's just white, I would, if you don't know how to clear the RAM, go ahead and write that again, because you're going to start out by clearing your RAM, which is second plus 7, 1, 2, okay? So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to clear our RAM. So everybody should have their calculator out, clearing the RAM if you haven't already. And you should have that nice, friendly RAM cleared message on your screen. Okay. Then the first step says to make a scatter plot. Okay, where do we go? She didn't write it on here. So let's put it. And then I'll show you where it is. Write this down. Stat, and then enter. That's where we're going to go, and we will see this screen. There's nice little pictures over there. Okay, so where is stat? It's right here. It's to the right of that green alphabet. Stat like statistics, okay, because this is like a statistics type of question. So I'm going to hit stat, and see how it's highlighted on the 1? That means that if I hit enter, I'm going into that, which is what I want. So stat, enter, and you should have L1, L2, and then other ones, okay? These are list 1, list 2. List 1, you're going to type in your x values. List 2, your y values. And you just hit enter in between each one. So these are just 1 through 7, right? 1, enter 2, enter 3, enter 4, enter 5, enter 6, enter 7, enter. You have to hit enter after each one, including the last one. So those are my x values. To get to the list 2, you can use your arrow. It'll jump to the top of list 2. Just take your time. Don't rush it because you don't want to put them in wrong. And go ahead and type in your y values, starting with 8.4 and so on. Okay, are we there? Typed them in. Good, okay. So now we are going to do step 2, which is called activating the scatter plot. Sounds very Avengers-like. I'm on an Avengers kick right now. I just watched all 3 Iron Man and Incredible Hulk. Now I'm going on to the Avengers. I don't know, I just get obsessed with things. Okay, so I'm going to go now to look above the y equals. You see where it says stat plot? It's blue. Stat, statistics, plot, like a graph. So we have to hit second stat plot. Okay? And your screen should look like that. In all of ours, if you cleared your RAM, it should say off. So we only care about one. We're only doing one graph right now. This is if you're going to do a whole bunch of them in the calculator. We're only on the first one, and it says it's off. We want it on. Okay? So if we hit enter, it takes us to this fancy screen. Really simple. Right now, off is highlighted. That means it's off. But you can see our cursor is blinking on. All you have to do is hit enter, and it's on. That's it. Okay, so it's highlighted on the on, and nothing else in there needs to be messed with. Okay? Now, we're going to look at the graph right now, but let's talk about what zoom would be best. Because remember, so you can go ahead and hit zoom. There's a whole bunch of them in here, but there's one that's special for this, and that's number 9. And you can either scroll to 9 or just hit 9. It's called Zoom Stat. That should make sense. We're doing stat stuff, statistics stuff. So either scroll to 9 or hit 9, and when you hit enter, it'll make your scatter plot for you. And there it is. There's like what we did by hand before. Okay? Great. Now what? All right. Now I want give me the equation of that line. And once it gives us that, we'll see it put a line right through it. Okay, so let me see where we are in here. Okay. Okay. So step 4. Yeah. Step 4 doesn't tell you where to go again. Back to stat. Over to calc. So write that down, and then I'll show you where it is. So back to where we started. I know it seems like a lot, but I promise you, you will get it maybe even by the end of today. Okay, stat. And what I meant by over to calc is up at the top. Look at the top, guys. It says calc. So you can just arrow to it. It'll give you a new menu. And this is where the good stuff is. Okay, I don't know what 1, 2, and 3 are, but look at number 4, 5, 6, and 7. Linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, regression. REG means regression. And that's just another term for like trend line, line of best fit, and we want number 4. So you can, again, either arrow to 4 or hit 4, okay? This is the screen everybody should see if your calculator updated correctly. And you are my first class all morning. My first 3 classes were like over each other's shoulders and just having I felt so bad because some of the not updated calculators did not have the screen. So does everybody have that screen? Yours does, Jordan? Okay. Thank you for looking on. Everybody has it? I did them all except one? Okay. Here's the thing. We are going to go down. You don't have to change anything except for this guy. We need to do something right here. If you look at yours, that y sub 1 is not there. And I'll tell you what it is for in a second. Let's arrow down to that place. It's asking us, do you want to store this equation somewhere in the calculator so that you can make predictions with it? That's what it's asking there. And you're going to say, yes, I do. I want you to do that. And I'll explain why in a second. But how we get the y1 in there, and I'll tell you what that means too. Watch. You hit alpha and then trace. On my fingers. Alpha, trace. And it instantly brings you a little menu. What those are the same y sub 1, 2, 3, and so on that you would see when you hit y equals. You know how we graph stuff? You hit y equals, you type all your stuff in and then hit graph. We're telling it to store it. Why not use y sub 1? So just hit enter. Okay? So it's about to give us the equation, slope intercept. It's going to give it to us. And it's going to store it there for us to do another step, our last step in a second. So we just keep hitting enter until you get to the screen that gives you your slope and your y-intercept. And don't be scared. We're going to get crazy decimals. We're going to get yucky numbers. It's not going to be nice and pretty slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept of 5. They're going to be yucky numbers because it's real life data. Okay? So you can write on the pink sheet, but maybe you don't want to write on it because you're going to use this over and over again. But if you already did, it's fine. We're going to put the answer. I'm going to put the answer right here. So it asks for the linear regression. That's what we're doing. Y equals. So guys, it calls our slope A. That's okay. We know what slope is. Y equals mx plus b, so A is like our slope. And let's round to 3 decimal places. That's what they will have you do on the the AP exam. 0.357x, right? Slope is 0.357. Normally we make it a fraction, not in real life problems. We just leave it. Plus 10.389, okay? That is the equation of the line that this formed. Do you want to see it? I do. Let's hit graph. And it'll put that line of best fit in there. That is the equation that we just wrote down. Okay? Last thing we have to do is predict. Yeah. Say it again. I need a hat. Thank you. It's the first time I put it on that problem because I always forget. Thank you. And I wouldn't mark it wrong. I just want you to be familiar with it when you see it. You're not like, Why is there a hat on that Y? You know your teacher always forgets. Okay, back to the last question. Use your linear function to estimate, predict, whatever, the price for a box of oranges in these 2 years that are off the chart. So in 2014 and 2015, we want to know what we are going to estimate, predict what the price would be, okay? Now, you could plug the values in here, but let's let the calculator do it for us. So what would the X value be for 2014? Yes, right? Because 8 would be 2013, and then 9, so we're going to use 9 and 10 for 2014, 2015, right? If you want to do 2023, you would just figure out what the X value would be. It really, really simple, and this is the last thing you have to write on that paper. She made it so hard. None of that is good. So easy. You have to hit the second button because it's blue, but it's right here. See your table where it's blue? That's going to give you your table of values. It'll give you all your X values and all your Y values. So we want to know when X is 9, so I can just scroll on down to 9, and the price would be $13.60. And then for 10, it would be $13.96. I don't have to do any work. The calculator did it all for me. So put my prices in there. 9 is $13.60, and this would be $13.96. Okay? Now, if you got lost in those steps, we're going to do another one in the homework together, but I want to tell you one more thing. Remember that screen I told you about that I said some people didn't have it, this screen? If you don't put that in there, you can still get the equation, okay? It'll still give you the A and the B, but you won't have it stored in the brain of your calculator to do any predictions. So if the question was, what's the equation, you could skip that step. If it's what's the equation and now use it to predict something, then you have to put the Y1 in there, okay? So any questions before we do we'll do one in the homework together, again, just to go through all those steps right after. Yeah, Elizabeth? No, you'll have to know this. Now, and that's what I mean. Listen, I am the worst at remembering things. I'm worse than anybody in this room, I promise you, by a lot. And I know how to do these. And not because I'm a math teacher. This is not something that I did in pre-calc previously. So I just basically learned the steps in here myself. So I know I taught it all day, but I promise you, Elizabeth, are you going to remember this in February when we go over it again? No, you're not going to necessarily remember, but we're going to review. Like we're going to do practice tests and practice problems and, okay, how do I put that in my calculator? And so we will prepare. That's why we're going kind of fast, by the way, because I want to leave us tons of time to prepare for this test. So I'm begging you guys to trust me. Don't give up. Don't be scared of it. Trust me. Because, I didn't even mention this. We're doing the same exact thing tomorrow and the same exact thing on Monday. Maybe adding a little bit to it, but we have to do these steps for the next few days. So it's not like new calculator steps tomorrow. All right. So, practice that 1. So 1, 2, and 3 is like what we just did. I'll do number 1 with you. And then 8 and 9 is like doing it by hand. Okay? Like we did in example 1. All right? So, this first one, I already wrote on. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I know. I'm being annoying. I'm annoying myself. Okay, so looks a little different, right? There's no XY chart. Think. They're saying a 2-mile taxi ride costs this, a 5-mile taxi ride costs that. We want to get the equation and predict how much an 8-mile would cost. It's not an XY chart. They're we can write them as ordered pairs, right? 2, 7.5. Distance, price, and we have 5 and 16.35. It's an XY chart. These are X's, those are Y's. It's just a little baby one. It's not a whole bunch of stuff we have to do, okay? So why don't we clear our RAM again and start fresh? Second plus 712. So we start at stat and edit, and we should get our two lists. Now they're blank, right, because we just cleared the RAM. We just have two numbers, 2, enter, 5, enter, 7.55, enter, 16.35, enter. So that's it for those, right? Now we want to activate the dot plot. So we're going to go to second, stat plot. See how it's off? Fix it. Hit enter, and really just hit enter again, and now it's on. That's it. You don't have to exit out of it. We can go right to our next step. Now, this step is kind of optional, the zoom, because we don't really need to see the graph to get our answer. It's just kind of a good thing to know where it is. So zoom number 9 is the stat kind of zoom. It kind of zeroes in on quadrant 1, because real life data is quadrant 1. Right? We don't really have negative distances or money or anything like that. So there's our sad little plot, right? It's just 2 points. There it is, right? We want the equation. So back to stat, over to calc, number 4, because we're doing a line. Now, I am going to have to predict. Remember, the question is, when I go 8 miles, what is the cost, right? That's what I need. So I need it to store the equation. So that's alpha, trace, enter. And you should see y1 there. And hit enter. And hit enter. And there's your equation, right? Round to what you want to. Right now. So there's the equation. It didn't really ask for that, but it's good practice to know how to put it in. We really just want to know, how much is it going to cost to go 8 miles? Where do I find that? Where do I go? Table, right? I want to go to my table, right? So it's blue. Anything blue, I have to hit second. And remember, if I forgot to put it in the store it, you won't see your y values here. It'll only have your x values. Okay. So table is just, let me go back to where I was. I don't know if it will work now. So second, okay. And then we want 8. So just use your arrows and go to 8. So it would be $25.15, which is a reasonable, I mean, it's expensive, but reasonable with the numbers here, okay? So 2 and 3 are just like it. So I'm going to put the key up, come around and help you guys with any issues you have. Olivia, you can use my calculator. So you can do these and all. So don't worry about this. Get your equation. So there was the model. Oh, I forgot my hat again. And then you can solve. I always forget that. I don't know why. What I do. Always. I need to get organized. You. sorry, you didn't have your list. That's what you mean. L1. So we hit alpha, right? And then just click something. Write the alpha trace. I feel like I did. Oh, here, if you want to write the direction for that right there, I guess I didn't tell you guys that. It's alpha, which is the green button, and then trace, and then enter. It takes some practice, but we're going to do it tomorrow, too. Alpha, trace. Yeah. Yeah. So depending on if you use 0 and 2 or 1 and 3, your B value comes up. Yeah. And then there doesn't matter which one. these are going to need and that's what actually we have a day in class of Duke Monday, like a day, Million Notes Day Monday.
I'm probably not going to be here tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to.
Like one day, we were holding on something.
Can I show you the slate?
Yeah.